You are not losing arguments because you're wrong. You're losing them because you react. Someone insults you, you explain. Someone provokes you, you defend yourself. Someone misunderstands you, you spend 20 minutes trying to correct their perception. Someone ignores you, you chase. And without realizing it, you've handed them something far more valuable than your words. Your attention. Because the moment someone can predict what will make you angry, defensive, desperate, or emotional, they have found a lever. Today, you're going to learn 7 laws of strategic silence. Not how to manipulate people, how to become harder to manipulate, because sometimes the strongest response isn't an argument. It's no response at all. But there's a problem. Silence can make you powerful, or it can make you look weak. The difference is knowing when to speak, when to stay silent, and when to walk away. So before we begin, remember this. You don't have to respond to everything that reaches you. Say it to yourself. I control my response. Before the 7 laws, understand the mechanism underneath them. Your attention is limited. Every argument consumes it. Every notification can interrupt it. Every insult can capture it. Every person demanding an explanation can take a piece of it. And once you understand that, you start seeing social situations differently. The question isn't, how do I win this interaction? The better question is, does this interaction deserve my energy? That single question can change the way you move through the world. Think about the last time somebody provoked you. Did you actually need to respond? Or did you respond because you felt you had to? Pause for a second. Think of one situation right now where you gave someone more attention than they deserved. Don't say their name. Just remember the situation. Now ask yourself, what did my reaction actually accomplish? If the answer is nothing, you've just identified a leak in your attention. And that's where Law 1 begins. Law 1, guard your attention like gold. Your attention is one of the few resources you cannot recover. Money can return, time does not. And attention spent obsessing over the wrong person is attention you can't spend building your own life. Someone leaves a provocative comment. You answer, they answer again, you respond again. Suddenly, 10 minutes have disappeared. Then 20, and now you're emotionally invested in someone you wouldn't even choose to have dinner with. That's the trap. The person who provoked you didn't need to defeat you, they only needed to redirect you. So create a rule. Not everything deserves a response. Ask yourself 3 questions. Is this important? Is this useful? Will responding improve the situation? If all 3 answers are no, walk away. No dramatic exit, no paragraph, no announcement. Just move your attention somewhere more valuable, because here's the affirmation. My attention belongs to me. Say it again. My attention belongs to me. And if you believe that, write my attention in the comments. Not for the algorithm, as a reminder to yourself, because once you stop giving everyone access to your attention, you discover something even more powerful. Silence. Law 2. Silence is information you refuse to give away. Most people talk too much when they're under pressure. They explain, they justify, they defend, they reveal what they're afraid of. They reveal what they're trying to prove. They reveal exactly which accusation got under their skin. And sometimes the more you explain, the more material you give someone to argue with. Imagine someone says, "You're just jealous." You immediately start explaining, "No, that's not what happened. Let me explain." You've accepted their frame. Now imagine another response. "I don't see it that way." And then silence. No emotional essay, no desperate attempt to control their opinion. You don't have to win every interpretation of you. Some people will misunderstand you. Some will criticize you. Some will create stories about you. You cannot control all of that. You can control how much access you give them. So ask yourself, do I need to explain this, or do I simply want to be understood? Those are not the same thing. And here's your second affirmation. I don't need to explain myself to everyone, because silence isn't always weakness. Sometimes it's restraint. And restraint brings us to Law 3. Law 3, withdraw without trying to make them chase you. This is where strategic silence gets misunderstood. The goal isn't to disappear so someone becomes obsessed with you. That's manipulation. The goal is to withdraw because your peace is more valuable than the interaction. There's a difference. If someone constantly creates conflict, you don't need to punish them. You need boundaries. If someone repeatedly disrespects you, you don't need revenge. You need distance. If someone only contacts you when they need something, you don't need to create artificial scarcity. You simply stop making yourself permanently available. And here's the question. Are you withdrawing because you value yourself, or because you're hoping they'll chase you? Be honest. Because if you're waiting for their reaction, you're still emotionally connected to their behavior. True withdrawal doesn't require an audience. You don't announce it. You don't post about it. You don't send a final paragraph explaining how disappointed you are. You simply change your availability and keep living. That's the difference between strategic withdrawal and emotional games. Your affirmation: I can leave without needing to be chased. Law 4, don't feed the provocation. Here's a psychological pattern worth understanding. When someone expects a reaction and doesn't receive the reaction they expected, the interaction changes. They may become curious, they may try again, they may become frustrated, or they may simply move on. You cannot guarantee which response you'll get, but you can guarantee one thing. You don't have to participate. Think about bait. A hook only works if you bite. Someone says something designed to anger you, you feel your body react, your heart rate changes. Your mind starts preparing the perfect response. And right there, you have a decision. Not, what should I say? But, do I want to enter this interaction? That pause is powerful. 3 seconds? 5 seconds? 10 seconds? Give yourself enough space to choose instead of react. And ask, if I respond right now, am I solving something or feeding something? That question alone can save you from hundreds of unnecessary conflicts. Your affirmation: I pause before I react. Remember that, because the person who controls the pause often controls what happens next. Law 5, know who deserves access to you. Not everyone deserves the same level of access to your life. And that doesn't mean everyone who disagrees with you is an enemy. You need better categories. There are people who challenge you, honestly. Listen to them. There are people who criticize you because they care. Learn from them. There are people who repeatedly disrespect, manipulate, exploit, or destabilize you. Set boundaries with them. And there are people who simply don't belong in your inner circle. That's life. The mistake is treating every negative interaction as psychological warfare. Sometimes criticism is useful. Sometimes you're wrong. Sometimes you need to apologize. Sometimes silence is cowardice. And sometimes walking away is wisdom. So ask yourself, is this person actually harming me? Or did they simply tell me something I didn't want to hear? That question separates emotional ego from genuine self-protection. You don't need to erase everyone. You need to control access. Think of your life as a house. Not everyone gets a key. Some people get the front door. Some people get the living room. Very few people get access to the private rooms. That's not arrogance. That's boundaries. Your affirmation: access to me is earned. Law 6, build emotional armor. Now we reach the deepest law. Silence is useless if you're screaming internally. You can ignore the message while checking your phone every 30 seconds. You can walk away while replaying the conversation for 3 hours. You can say, I don't care, while desperately hoping they notice you don't care. That's not emotional control. That's emotional suppression. Real control is different. You still feel the emotion, you simply don't allow the emotion to make the decision. Anger appears, you pause. Jealousy appears, you pause. The urge to defend yourself appears, you pause. The urge to send that paragraph at 2 a.m. appears, you put the phone down. Because emotions are signals, they are not commands. And here's a question I want you to remember. What emotion is trying to make this decision for me? Anger? Fear? Pride? Insecurity? Need for approval? Identify it. Then choose your response. Your affirmation: my emotions inform me. They do not control me. That's emotional armor. Not becoming cold, becoming deliberate. Law 7. Master the power of calculated inaction. The final law is the hardest, because doing nothing can feel like doing nothing. But sometimes doing nothing is the decision. Someone spreads a rumor. You don't have to immediately chase every person and correct the story. Someone copies your work. You don't have to spend your day watching them. Someone doubts you. You don't have to convince them. Someone wants an argument. You don't have to provide one. Calculated inaction means asking, what happens if I don't move? Sometimes the answer is nothing, and that's exactly the point. The problem disappears. The person loses interest.
The situation resolves itself, or you discover that the situation wasn't important enough to deserve your energy. But there is one critical exception. If silence allows genuine harm, abuse, deception, or serious injustice to continue, speak. Set the boundary, document what happened, get help when necessary. Strategic silence isn't submission. It's selective action. You don't fight every battle. You choose the battles that matter. Your final affirmation: I don't react. I decide. Let's bring everything together. Law 1. Guard your attention. Not everything deserves access to your mind. Law 2. Control your words. You don't owe everyone an explanation. Law 3. Withdraw without manipulation. Leave because you value your peace, not because you want someone to chase you. Law 4. Don't feed provocation. Pause before you give someone the reaction they're looking for. Law 5. Control access. Not everyone deserves the same place in your life. Law 6. Build emotional armor. Feel everything. Obey nothing blindly. Law 7. Master calculated inaction. You don't need to respond to every battle. And here's the sentence I want you to remember after this video ends. You cannot control what people say, think, or do, but you can control what receives your attention, what receives your words. And what receives your energy, that is where your power begins. So here's your challenge for the next 7 days. Before responding to something that triggers you, pause. Just pause. Ask yourself, is this worth my attention? Is responding going to improve anything? Am I acting from strength or from emotion? And if the answer is no, don't react. Don't perform your silence. Don't announce your silence. Just move forward. Because the ultimate goal isn't to become someone who never speaks. It's to become someone who chooses when speaking is worth it. And that is a completely different kind of power. Now I want you to make one commitment, not to me, to yourself. Write this in the comments. I don't react, I decide. Then answer one question. Which law do you need most right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7? Your answer tells you where your biggest weakness may be. And if this video made you rethink the way you respond to people, subscribe to MindWire. Because we're not here to teach you how to manipulate people. We're here to teach you how to understand people, understand yourself, and become harder to control. Remember, silence isn't power because it hurts other people. Silence is power when it gives you enough space to choose your next move. You don't react. You decide. You don't chase. You choose. You don't need to prove yourself. You build. That is strategic silence. That is self-control. And that is power.